Alright, man. Let's get straight into this chapter. I'm really trying to get this back to, at least where Chicken is now, which I didn't even look at the last chapter that came out. But regardless, I know it's not going to happen this week. I know it's not going to happen the following week either, which is unfortunate. But I can at least try and do a chapter today and hopefully a chapter either tomorrow or Wednesday. After that, I'm not going to be able to do any for the rest of the week. So let me make sure this is all right. We're good. We're good to go. Just confirm that you guys can hear me and that there's no lag, and then I'm going to get started. But we'll figure it out. Nevertheless, I want to make it so, and I've been looking at the upcoming season, and it does look like I'll be able to have these kind of focused one day a week, but I'm trying to decide which day I want that to be, and I still want to catch up before we kind of go back to the weekly basis. So with that said, I'm just gonna get straight into it because I gotta get over to the Annie Awards directly after this, so we gotta keep this within the hour and a half, no longer. But I'm hyped for GARFIEL, man. I'm hyped for GARFIEL. I actually did not work out a voice for him, but it's whatever. We'll just wing that shit. The experimental grounds, dude. I'm curious to see what kind of progression we're gonna get during this as well. But let's get into it, man. Smash that like button, by the way. Smash that like button. I'm kind of, as you can see, I'm kind of out of it because I barely slept. I've been reading something, and it's taken over my life for like the last 24 hours. The moment the punk pressed his foot into the ground, Subaru felt the illusion as if this world had tilted. Of course, in reality, such a thing could not possibly happen. Even the largest human could not hope to disturb the foundations of the world with a simple stamp of the foot. And the sheer weight of the earth would not budge so easily. Nah, magic happens when you're a lord, though, Subaru. So the tilting of the world can only be Subaru's illusion. What had actually happened was that starting from the point where GARFIEL has placed his foot, a way spread out in the ground, and like flipping a piece of tatami, it tossed the dragon carriage into the air as it Bro, this man. Impossible. Like on the end of a seesaw, the sensation of upward momentum reached its peak, and then, as if floating, the dragon carriage glided through the air, along with the ground dragons Pacharsh and Furufu, just about exceeding 1 ton of weight combined. They were all blown flying. You're telling me all the man did was stamp his fucking foot? Bro, let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. They were all blown flying. Inside the carriage, Subaru only held Amelia close within his embrace. Good man. Then, just like that, the dragon carriage slammed onto the ground. The sheer force of the impact sent its entire frame inside and out, gnashing and creaking against itself. It was a high-quality dragon carriage. Its luxury did not stop at its glamorous appearance, for its quality was evidenced both in terms of comfort and durability, and this was demonstrated perfectly by the fact that it managed to avert total destruction just now. But still, in the half-rollover dragon carriage, there was no way to immediately escape. In other words, since escape is no longer an option, the only choice remaining is to stand and fight. Now, there's no way there's actually going to be a clash with GARFIEL, though. I mean, you're trying to... That's straight up intimidation right there. Damn it. That was the... Shaking his head, which was still hanging out of the window, to the coachman's platform, Subaru held a hand to his aching forehead. He had struck his head on the way down, but fortunately, other than the pain, there was no lesion or bleeding. Suddenly remembering, he looked down and saw lying in his arms Amelia was unharmed. A surge of relief washed over him, but this emotion was soon replaced by the anxiety of being reminded that the culprit who caused this was still outside. Quickly lifting up his head, the dreaded sight that met Subaru's gaze was... Yo, No. Hold on. If anything actually happens to Pacharsh, I'm gonna kill GARFIEL. I'm sorry. Screeching, fangs bared, the enormous jet black ground dragon leapt toward the scrawny figure. Making use of the loosened connection to the dragon carriage with a twist of her body, Pacharsh broke free, and with rapid movement she set off against the assailant for... Oh, okay. She just going in. My girl, dude. The one true MVP, though. The one true MVP. With pointed fangs as sharp as blades, the power of her jaw can slice through human flesh and crush through bone and still have strength to spare. With speed like the wind, she aimed for Garfiel's neck, about to tear it to shred with a single question asked. Exciting choice. Good ground dragon. No, you're a good girl, aren't you? Hell, the sound of breaking bones, a sign of love, as they say. Lodged in her closing jaw was the front end of an outstretched arm that should by all accounts have been completely shredded. Garfield had held out his right arm against Petrarch's bite, and the ground dragon, zeroing in on the target, chomped down on the wrist, ripping the forearm clean off, and then fell upon the torso. Or at least that was what should have happened. I was about to say, there's no way, especially with that response. But instead, Petrarch froze in place, not only her body, but even her jaw, clamping on the arm, lodging inside, stopped moving completely. Was some special ability being used, or was it caused by magic? Nah, it's either the man's base durability, or he just has he has a way of speaking to her, man. This question turned into his mind, but soon Garfield's actions answered his doubts. Expanding the muscles of his large arm, it completely overpowered the foot. Okay, that's what I'm saying, dude. The man is a boss. I can already feel it. The force of Petrarch's jaw stretched it open wider and wider. Good job. You got going right away, and still not giving up. Even better, you passed. The jet-black ground dragon lowered her body. Still clenching with her mouth, she twisted her waist. The strength of her jaw sealed on the man's right wrist. She swung her tail, whooshing upwards to swipe him flying. Subaru took a blow from her tail once, but watching Petrarch's movements now, it's immediately obvious how much she had been holding back that time. Literally putting her whole body behind the blow. Never did I think I would see Petrarch going in like this, though. That's hype. That's exceedingly hype for me. And the very fact, this is a good marker just to see Garfield's base capabilities as well. She directed all her hostility into striking the body that was left completely open, but even so, it was casually stopped in its tracks by Garfield's left hand. A dry cracking sound rang out, and after the shock dissipated, all that remained was a hand grabbing onto the end of a tail, his right hand in her jaws, his left hand holding her tail. Garfield smiled, revealing his beast-like fangs. Dude, what did I say last week? And it's only perpetuated, the whole visage, especially after seeing, because I said this based on the description, but after seeing the fan art, and the actual official art that I used for thumbnail, I'm 100% certain there has to be a blood relationship with Frederica. I don't know how it exactly works, like how they're related, but I 100% believe that. If Tape is not gonna do that, then they just have to be of the same exact. There has to be some sort of small clan of demi-human that they hail from. That's the only other way I can see that reconciled. Won't hurt you. Sleep tight. He's a boss. Making a wide swing with his arm like some kind of joke. The circular trajectory of its motion carried Petrarch's massive body gliding through the air. Then all of a sudden, laterally spinning with an inconceivable sensation of weightlessness. Petrarch's eyes filled with confusion as she was gently tossed to the ground. And see, no, you know what? I already like the man because the gentle nature with which he subverted Petrarch's attack makes me exceedingly happy. Like, if he had harmed Petrarch in any way, we would have got off on the wrong foot, you know what I'm saying? But the way he treated it with care, good man. Her massive body barely bounced as it landed. See, that's the thing, though. What makes us have to be so wary of him? There has to just be some discontent there, residually left behind. I don't know why she framed it like that. Her massive body barely bounced as it landed, and then silence. Petrarch had been defeated. In front of this scene, Subaru's parched throat let out a groan of disbelief. He threw Petrarch? Such a loyal nature. Toss you out gently. Shouldn't hurt. Let's finish this before you get up. Dude, those short phrases. See, the only thing I question is Garfield's. I won't even say intelligence, because he's probably instinctually quite intelligent. But in terms of education, that must very well be why his dialogue is set up like this, which makes me curious about his backstory. Disregarding the stunned Subaru, Garfield lifted up his face and hopped onto the coachman's stand. Lying on the coachman's stand was Otto. In a broken... I completely forgot about Otto, man, in this whole scenario. In a broken-looking posture, and he tried to stand up as the attacker leaped over. But don't underestimate me. I'm a traveling merchant, you know. I'm totally prepared for getting mugged by thugs on the road during my business. So come on. But if you'd rather not fall victim to the Suin family real thug repulsion technique, my boy, that is how you bluff, my dude. I would expect that from Suru, dude. Otto is learning. Otto is growing, man. The Suin family real thug repulsion technique. My boy. I suggest you surrender now. I can just picture him making a ridiculous stance. And you know damn well he has absolutely nothing to back that shit up. Shut up, Ham. What do you think you're doing with your weak ass skills? Garfield, man. Taking me go take a nap. Right after striking a fighting pose, full of spirit, Otto instantly crumbled when Garfield, suddenly coming up to him, gave him a flick in the forehead. Wait, he put him out with the flick, or more accurately, the close-range middle finger strike. With what sounded like a tremendous force, sent Otto's body wiry. What in the fuck? Sent Otto's wiry body flying off the coachman's platform. Holding his forehead in what looked like agony, he passed out without a word. Regardless of whether he was dead or alive, he was no longer an obstacle. That's the thing too. That's the one thing I didn't consider, is that as far as Frederick is concerned, we didn't really see her, like it was done in an instant when she assailed Subaru. So I wouldn't be surprised if her physical prowess is of the same caliber. Now, by the looks of it, you're the only one left. Snorting, the punk turned with a sharp look that could cut a man in half, murmuring. Standing on the coachman's platform, the distance between him and Subaru was only about 4 paces, but considering the way he had instantly closed his distance with Otto, there might as well be no distance between them at all. Gasping down his breath, it is some straight flicker to this shit. Dude, Garfield is about to get on that Lord status if he keeps this up. Right now, he's just on that boss status, which is good enough as it is. But if I really resonate with the character, I'm gonna get on that Lord status. Gasping down his breath, Subaru racked his brain, but could not think of a single plan to break through. The only fighting force that might have been able to resist this man, Amelia, was still unconscious after inexplicable collapse. But no matter what happens, he must protect her. Exactly. I was about to question that thought process for a second too. I really was, because you're the same man, my boy, that was uttering last chapter how you need to stand up and stop being the one to protect her. So, fucking do it, even though there's no chance. I'm flipping this way that your skin's still blue. I don't want to hear it. With the sound of a light tap on the floor and the blink of an eye, Garfield's short figure appeared in front of Subaru's face. Above, the raised arm had its 5 fingers spread open, and it was easy to imagine the future where the claws would swing down, ripping his stunned body apart. In the face of that future, where his limbs would be ripped apart, there was only one thing Subaru could think to do: to prevent the damage from reaching Amelia in his arms and to protect her with his life. A few seconds passed, or perhaps it was longer. His eyes tightly shut, shielding Amelia with his entire body. The time Subaru spent waiting for the shot to come dragged on to the point of confusion. Then, hesitantly opening his eyes, he found the 5 fingers spread out motionless in front of his face. Behind it, there was a perplexed look in the punk's eyes. Keeping his gaze on Subaru, who could not help but hold his breath, he twisted his own head from side to side, making loud cracking noises with the bones in his neck. Dude, I'm sorry. Straight Yankee status to a obscene degree. Instead of striking back, he prioritized protecting the girl. The hell was that? After you're dead, she'll be next anyway. Wasn't that a terrible decision? Dude, he's genuinely confused by that too. Just from that one line, I can glean a good amount about Garfield's disposition and personality, actually. I think, yeah, just in how straightforward he is, I think I'm gonna love him. I really do. Being hit with a sound argument that he really didn't want to hear, Subaru, going through all sorts of reasons, couldn't come up with a reply. The silence making him even more displeased, Garfield waved his sharp-clawed hand. Well, you're too slow anyway. Make a move or not, there probably wasn't much hope. You're all pretty useless either way. You are, huh? Remarking on their ineptitude, Garfield gave out his merciless assessment. And as Subaru was trying to move his frozen throat, attempting to squeeze out a question, Garfield's vicious-looking face twisted up with displeasure and moved in even closer to Subaru's face. You're whispering. Gotta speak up. Come on. You are Garfield, correct? You are acquainted with Rosewall and Frederica. Frederica. Confirming Subaru's word for the first time, Garfield's expression lost its aggression. Looking astounded like a carnivorous beast that had lost the scent of blood for an instant, he seemed almost cute and tame, but immediately concealing it again with a bitter expression. Why do you know that name? No, wait. That woman you're holding is the silver-haired half-witch? She's a half-elf. Don't you dare use that name in front of her. I wonder if that's his own, I mean, I could easily see that as Garfield's own slip. But if he's been parlaying with Rosewall, and that's the construction he's been given, that's another scenario entirely. But I'm not going to read too much into that, because I definitely do think, knowing what I've seen of him thus far, that's most likely it. Yeah, what's this with this? You got some spirit, you got all of a sudden. Glancing down at Amelia, Subaru suddenly exploded back at the utterance of that derogatory name. The fear of moments before all disappeared in the face of pure rage, and Garfield, hearing this, clicked his fangs together noisily, full of glee. Say, isn't she that rumored Amelia-sama? Now, a half-witch showing up around here could only have everything to do with Rosewall. Son of a... Ignoring Subaru's previous words, Garfield said half-witch again, with special emphasis. Hearing this, Subaru stood up, but was immediately stopped by Garfield's hand. The dumbass who bites on molten iron only gets hurt. Actually, that's the best phrase he's used thus far. Right? You don't have a chance against me. Look at the difference in strength, huh? I don't want you to get hurt, you know. Making a fist with his outstretched hand, he cracked his knuckle bones as a warning. Their respective strengths are obvious. Without knowing his intentions, it's better not to make things any worse by resisting. To press down his anger and wait for another chance to get his revenge would be the wisest course of action. That's why. Eat shit, bro. My boy is heated right now. My boy is heated. See, that's the thing. And knowing Subaru's going to hold on to this, man. Regardless, he's going to hold on to this. So, they're already off. This dynamic is going to be interesting, man. It's going to be very interesting. I think he's in a worse spot than, I'd say, the initial, relationship and dynamic with Yuli. But we'll see what happens. I don't want to get hurt. And you'll beat me up pretty easily, I guess. But I can't stand by while you continue to say things that will make this girl sad. Gently laying Amelia down on the luggage stand, lightly touching the hair on her forehead, Subaru stood up staring at Garfield at a distance so close that their foreheads almost touched. A distance within each other's breaths, a distance within each other's reach. Take back that bullshit name and never use it again. You want me to do what you say? But you don't got what it takes, do you? Your face, your gut, your shin. You want them all to get wrecked, yeah? Go ahead and try, but don't expect me to go down for free, though. If you punch my face, I'll bite you. If you strike my gut, I'll grab you. If you hit my shin, I'll spit on you, and I'll be paying you back tooth for tooth. Dude, go in, my boy. Responding to intimidation with intimidation. Subaru was carried up by the surge passion burning in his chest. In front of him, the hostile aura quietly emanating from Garfield sent shivers circling all over his body. Quite literally, Subaru could be flicked away in a second if Garfield wanted to. Judging from his offense and defense so far, this was all too obvious. Of the strongest people Subaru had met in the parallel world up to now, Garfield might easily hold a place among them. Perhaps without reaching the level of Reinhardt at the pinnacle, he could nevertheless conceivably take on Wilhelm or Julie. Dude, that's high praise. But I actually would say it's a fair assessment, even though I feel like we haven't seen the extent of Yuli going in. And Wilhelm is far past his prime, but I like the assessment mainly because he puts my boy Reinhardt at the pinnacle where he belongs. So even as Subaru's words took back a little bit of ground, the probability of him actually retaliating was really equal to zero. But still, Subaru and Garfield stared squarely into each other's eyes. Even knowing he will lose, he refused to back down, because the reason he cannot back down was just behind him. It was an unexpected voice that sounded completely out of place. In the middle of their standoff, Garfield's laugh leaked out, cutting into the space between them. Subaru let out a confused groan, and Garfield responded with his action. I'm not doing that laugh again. It's too it's too twisted, man. Once I master the Garfield voice, though, it's gonna be fun. You're pretty good with words, huh? You really did it, didn't? Wait, whoa. You really did it, didn't you? Oh, okay, I got you. Actually, very difficult to read that quickly. Ow. Hey, well, wait, ow, stop. That really hurts. Breaking out into a wild laugh that shook his shoulders, Garfield heartily patted Subaru on the shoulder, but even without the slightest hint of hostility or intention to attack, and even as he was holding back, the gesture purely seeking friendly contact was nevertheless cutting down Subaru's health points in large chunks. Oh, I love that last line, dude. In large chunks at a time. Damn. Garfield. Dude, this is a dope image at the bottom here. Adorable. Bro, Garfield's the man, dude. Garfield is fucking man. I love that persona. And that's the thing too. I think there's a base level, I wouldn't even say call it ignorance, but a lack of worldliness. Purely instinctual, headstrong and straightforward character, which I love. I mean, and in that way, you know, I would say he shares qualities with Subaru for sure, which is gonna lead to little bits of interesting banter in their dynamic. But first impressions of Garfield, he's fucking amazing. He's an absolute boss. I think he might make it to that Lord status, man. It's the type of character that I would call my son, to be honest with you. This chapter can end up staying up until 9 a.m. this morning to get it. Damn. You guys gotta take breaks where you can. Like, we all appreciate the work that you're doing in the first place. You don't have to push yourself that hard. If I have to spend time on stage for the next few days, Tim Curtis is working on chapter 8 right now. It should be done in a few days. Choosing a few with trials, so it's changed to experimental grounds. Okay. Not really entirely sure what that's supposed to mean, but no intermission today. Straight into this next part. I do want to see what's going on in the chat for a second, though. Readers and God, and you all bow down to it. Whoa. What is happening here? Anime one day. I need to, especially this scene, dude. Like, just the best part about it, and I still love him for not harming Petrarch, but the best part about it was him flicking auto, dude. That fucking, what the fuck was it? Suing Family Ryu something or not. I forgot what the technique was called. My boy, man. Auto, man, he's too real. He's too fucking real. Absolutely hilarious. I just see a bunch of back and forth concerning Metro in this chat. Nothing really pertaining to the chapter as far up as I scroll. Which, It's exactly why I don't really take the time to read the chat that frequently in these streams to begin with. Subaru needs to step up his game. I mean, that's the thing. The Subaru is that long game character in terms of development. Like, it's only a matter of time before we see that growth, but I feel like there's so much more hardship to come before he actually gets there. No, I do not have an Instagram, but in the future, that's one of the platforms that I most likely will be utilizing. But I don't see the need for it right now. Yeah. I mean, at least he stood firm, though. That's all I can say. If you could. Okay, now the jokes are just out here. I don't really care for that statement. I could care less about that statement. See, if I don't reply to a particular comment, it's because I think it's nonsensical. No official line. I'm not putting him on that Lord status yet, quite yet. He's just on that boss status, but one day. Maybe, like, if even in the second part of the chapter, I just need to get a little bit more insight, as to where he stands. Anything else? I even noticed that Erza was here. What's up? Caster, man, I'm not gonna help you. You just listen to Mitro. He's in fact right in this scenario. Talk about GARFIEL endgame. What do you mean? I just met the man. How am I supposed to talk about his endgame? With just his last bit of introduction, last chapter, and this dialogue, all I gleaned from this first part of this chapter is insight into how his persona is set up. Like, I completely understand this character, what his desires are, for the most part, what he would prioritize in a given situation, and what he's concerned with. But there's no way I can talk about Aang. I don't even know what his relation and dynamic is with Rosewall. I don't even know where he falls in all of this. So I can't speculate on that. Reaction to Frederica was really sketchy, but in that reaction he acknowledges that I still 100% believe they're related, man. I don't care what anybody says. There's too many similarities in their visage for them not to be. Way too many. Like I said, if they're not, directly related in some way, I would say it'd have to be like brother, cousin, something like that. If they're not on that level, then it just needs to be some sort of small clan of demi-humans that all share similar traits like that. Because we've seen it before, as far as just like trait-wise, but this, like, it's way too distinct from the hair color. It's way too distinct from the hair color, the fangs, everything like that. It just seems like that's how it's positioned. And I felt that way based solely on the description, not even seeing the character design yet. So we'll see. Anyway, let's get into the second part of the chapter. I think we're making decent time. Yeah, I think we're okay. Good job, you passed. Went straight through. The half-witch, half-elf. Though I don't like him much, you have guts protecting her. I'll respect that. It's good you came around, but it really hurts. When are you going to stop patting me? Are you trying to kill me? His enthusiasm unabated. Garfield's arm dropped and Subaru moved a bit further away. Seeing this, the punk tilted his neck, then crossed his powerful arms and... So cold. All that stuff is water under the bridge now, so come on and forget it already. When a man acts petty, it means he's pretty too. Garfield! No, wait. Hold on. I take it back. I don't even need to see any more. That one line is good enough for him to transcend. He's a lord in training now. He's a lord in training. It's gonna take like the smallest bit more for him to just transcend onto a full-on lord, man. And that's the thing. I don't really have too many males. Like, I have various categories for males in ReZero. But there's only like a handful of lords. So if you're gonna get on that caliber, but that line, dude, I'm sorry. I'm done. And that's wholly accurate. True facts. Absolutely true facts. When a man acts petty, it means his thing is petty too, That's the first time I heard you use an idiom that sounds familiar. But my thing is totally none of your business. Subaru. I would expect a little bit of a better retort with that one, my dude. Anyway, Garfield shook around a little and gestured with his finger. But seeing him lift up his chin looking smug, Subaru threw his words back at him roughly. You're Garfield, and acquainted with Rosewall, right? Even though we had a fight when we came into contact all of a sudden. There's no more hostility between us now, right? Will you quit making a fuss? It's getting annoying. Don't panic. I won't eat you. Who do you think will believe that after that savage attitude a moment ago? Ha! Sticking his fingers in his ears with irritation, Garfield responded to Subaru's objections with a, got a point, I guess, as if understanding him. Even though he's incomprehensible at times, it's a great relief to see that you can communicate with words. And then, having escaped the dire circumstances, Subaru remembered. Yeah. Hey, this is no time for that. Amelia collapsed all of a sudden. What am I doing talking normally just now? Collapsed? You mean the half-elf? Oi, of course she collapsed. Where do you think this is? What are you panicking about? Rushing over to Amelia's side, he found her still asleep and breathing irregularly as if in pain. Is it because she's in proximity of the... That's strange, though. And again, just bolsters the original thought process. See, it's been a long time since I've espoused any of my theories on this series, but at the same time, there's really no need, because I feel like the people that actually watch these read-throughs are familiar with my stances and thoughts on many things at this point. I doubt, if there's anybody here that hasn't been following my ReZero content for a while now, then let me know, because then I might have to do some sort of separate stream to recap and, to an effect, because when I say certain things, I assume that it's implied what my meaning is behind it, knowing my stance on things to begin with. But anyway, I digress. As Subaru was wearing it by her side, Garfield didn't seem to think much of it, and only shrugged. Noticing his knowing expression, Subaru asked, "What do you mean?" which brought an incredulous frown onto Garfield's face. You already heard from Roswell and Frederica what this place was, right? They must have. No way. You don't know? Even as he was just beginning to explain, Subaru shook his head from side to side, and Garfield clicked his tongue in frustration, spitting out, "Pervert." Alright, no, I'm sorry. Garfield really is about to become a lord. I'm done. I'm actually done. This man's got... the dialogue is too rich. It just says everything that I've harbored deep down inside. Pervert bastard. It was easy to see who that insult was referring to. Frederica didn't say anything either. That's messed up. Before you know it, her personality become like her owner's. Hopeless. Damn. Shaking his head, Garfield snorted out in irritation. Then, noticing Subaru's questioning eyes, he raised up his hand and said, "Yeah, I get it. And it looks pretty bad, but her life's in no danger. Only if you don't want to see any more of that pain on her face, we need to get going right away. I'll guide you to the village. When we move from here, her consciousness will return." That's what I've been saying, isn't it? Hurry up. We're gonna go. Oi, how long are you gonna keep sleeping? Get up. Even though there wasn't a dude auto. Oh, that instantly registered with me. I forgot about him for a second just because I was so curious about Garfield, but even though there wasn't much explanation, Garfield didn't seem intent on explaining further. Turning around without even trying to conceal his thuggish expression, he went out and gave Otto a kick. Receiving the kick, the still passed out Otto let out a painful... Bro, I'm sorry. This man, the abuse he's endured up to this point, really and truly is a good man deep down. Say, what's with this situation? Following what I just heard, I get the feeling I'm just on the losing end of everything. Hearing this unacceptable version of things, Otto boiled, suddenly standing up to voice his objection to Garfield. Considering the beating he got just a few minutes ago, this must have seemed tremendously courageous, and Garfield, who appeared to share this opinion, turned to look at Subaru. Oi, this guy, is he always such an energetic bastard? If you ask that guy, there's no way you'll get a proper appraisal. If you ask that guy, there's no way you'll get a proper appraisal, so please stop that. Can't you just make your own observation of what I am? And he basically just did, though, and apologized. Please apologize. Ha, the hell. Son of a bitch is healthy, lively all of a sudden. You underestimate me. Yeah, I beat up a guy that didn't need a beating. Get over it. Can the two of you shut up? Amelia is still in pain. Hurry up and grab the reins. And you, get the dragon carriage upright. While the three men were making a commotion and started cursing at each other on the coachman's stand, placed aside on the luggage bed, Amelia, who had been unconscious up to now, still didn't wake up. However, a faint frown was stirring up on her pretty face, irritated by the noise. "Shut up," she murmured in a little voice, as if talking in her sleep. "Didn't introduce myself, did I? Name's Garfield. Ah, just Garfield's good. The strongest man alive. Need anything? Just ask." "Oh, I'm Natsuki Subaru. What was that? You said you're the strongest? Are you saying that sober, bro?" You're in no position to question the man right now, though. That's the thing. That's a good question. That's a good question, Terrell. I 100% would like to know the answer to that myself, because the immaturity in all the streams is unbearable. It almost makes me question. I shouldn't even be making this digression here, but it almost makes me question, like, if it's even possible for you guys to, like, just once, like, I've never ever seen it. Never. There's never been a single stream in, like, months where it was just mature across the board. I don't know what it is, man. It's fucking... And I don't think you guys realize that it actually annoys me. That's what I don't think that you realize. Like, I like it sometimes. Don't get me wrong. I like joking. I like trolling. It's fun. But there's a time and a place. And there's only so much of it before it gets overbearing. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway. My little mini rant. Because I do question it myself sometimes. As the dragon carriage got moving, sitting face to face inside, Subaru and Garfield exchanged their self-introductions. Seeing Subaru suddenly pull back his outstretched hand with an astonished look, Garfield also took on an incredulous expression. "Isn't that what I said? What's so strange about that?" No. I just never expected to meet someone who'd straight out say I'm the strongest man alive. Even so, isn't saying that going a bit too far? I wouldn't go that far, Subaru. As a matter of fact, I've heard that phrase from many men in various series that I truly respect, and I think Garfield is about to be added to that list. You don't think I'm fit to be the strongest? Dude, that was such a genuine question, too. Well, you're very strong, I'll admit, but if you're talking about the absolute strongest, how should I say it? No matter what, I have a guy who always comes to mind. The form of that red-haired knight emerged in his thoughts. Compared to Garfield in front of his eyes, Subaru's mind tried to work it out. From their previous exchange with just his bare hands, Garfield was a formidable fighter, and could kick a house flying if he wanted to. No, he had flipped the carriage upright with a stamp of his foot just now, but would all this be enough to contend with the sword saint after all? That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. That's real. That's fucking real. Exactly. Good people. Adlet was actually the person that came to my mind as soon as I heard it. But the thing about the difference between Garfield and Adlet, is that Adlet said it in a tactical way. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the very construction of him saying that was, and I love that explanation of it, to imbue himself with that courage. Garfield's saying it because he genuinely thinks he's the strongest man alive, which there's nothing wrong with that either, man. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But Adler's philosophy was more actualization based on the declaration, whereas for Garfield, and that's why I love Garfield's character right now, is that straightforwardness, man. There's nothing lurking beneath the surface with his statements or anything like that. What you see is what you fucking get. It's genuine, and he's a fucking boss with it, dude. So I fucking love that shit, man. I fucking love that shit. Even with this in mind, Reinhardt's advantage doesn't seem to disappear, and Subaru himself wasn't exactly sure why he held that knight in such special regard. That's the only thing that I'm saying. See, I know why I vaunt Reinhardt so high, but if it was just based solely on the confrontation of Elsa, which is all Subaru's seen up to this point, I don't know if that's enough to really, after everything you see in Subaru, but I'm fine with it because there's certain things that instinctually, and I say it all the time, but Subaru's deductive prowess, as ridiculous as he seems on the surface, his deductive prowess is quite high. And there's certain things where he can't even put his finger on it himself, just like this instance, but based off of the initial interpretation and feeling, it's real. Fucking real. As you like. I'll correct your mistaken view sooner or later, and prove with my own hands that I'm the strongest. For now, let's just say, wait, hold on. Oh, okay. Red-nosed sea lion's afraid of the cold. And think of it like that. I totally don't know what you just told me to think about. I actually have no idea. I actually have no idea what that statement is supposed to mean. Subaru tilted his neck at that last part, and Garfield didn't seem to be planning to explain it, and instead crossed his hands behind his head and relaxed his weight onto the back of his seat. Anyway, their conversation having come to an end, Subaru looked out the window and brushed his fingers through Amelia's silver hair as he slept in his lap. While Amelia has not woken up, her expression had become more restful than before. Just as Garfield said, moving away from that place seemed to have a positive effect. So alright, should be better now. Not really sure what happened myself, but if it doesn't come back, like right now as I'm speaking, if you guys can't hear me, then I might have to nah, it really should be back by now. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But either way, I'm not stopping for this. Just confirm quickly that it's back on track. If it's not, then all right, thank you, Mitro. I'm done. I understand it's probably jarring. Personally, I can't hear it, so I feel bad for you guys, but I didn't experience any of that. I could see the levels though, because I have my encoder open. I could see the levels, and it was just maxing out. Nothing hardware wise. I don't know what happened, but I just hard reset the mic, and it seems to be working fine now. So, is what it is. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying that I initially expected Garfield to be this kind of much older and shadier individual, with heavy political influence, and an agenda. But I'm much more pleased with the construction of the character that we got. So, is what it is. I'm not paying for shit, Caster. Look, when you come to the stream, and this goes for all my videos, when you come to the stream, it's basically you give your consent to subject yourself to whatever is in the stream. I don't have to provide you with anything that goes wrong, anything that you experience in the stream is on you. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I apologize for the problem. It was not my fault. I didn't do anything to influence it. And it sucks for you guys. I hope you guys are okay. I'm probably gonna go back and listen to the stream just so I can hear what it sounded like, but is what it is. But wait, hold on. Garfield was not much of a supporter in the political sense, but would perhaps be more of a supporter in the muscle brain sense. This man did. With the sanctuary not far ahead, picking up someone who he at once needed to be cautious of, and who he could have friendly interactions with, really only added to the headache. That's just more questions I'll need to ask Roswell at the sanctuary, I guess. I'm supposed to be solving problems, but it feels like the number of questions just gets more and more as I go. What's with this? That's what I'm fucking saying, my dude. That's what I've been saying, as a matter of fact. Even with, like, the slightest bit of answers just comes more questions, time and time again. it's obscene, and I feel like that pattern is gonna continue indefinitely as the series progresses. Hugging his own head, seeing the difficult road ahead just getting more difficult, Subaru's expression clouded over. Listening to this, Garfield made a small click with his tongue, revealing just a small glimpse of his sharp canine teeth. Even the construction of the descriptors for him, and even slight, it's not even like he's trying to shield it, which is a mannerism that I think has been, subconsciously imbued in Federico over time. But just in terms of using that kind of similar description and construction, I 100% believe they're closely related like that. Sanctuary, eh? Sensing some meaning in his murmur, Subaru's face raised up, and Garfield gently waved his hand. Then he stood up, facing the direction ahead. That is, towards the direction of the sanctuary. It's because you're gulping down Rosewall's words whole without a second thought that you keep calling it by that name. Things you don't know aside, the things he did tell you are all full of shit. You know that, right? Damn. And he gives zero fucks about throwing shade at the man, dude. I respect that. Because up till this point, not a single person has verbally spoken to the Rosewall shade. Absolute first time, man. That in of itself warrants my respect for Garfield. Garfield became, even though I have the same opinion. Oh well, that's true. Subaru, but I'm saying to Subaru. Nobody's actually said that. Everybody else has just kind of gone along with Rosewell's construction whenever Subaru is asked about it. It's not good to gossip behind someone's back. Say, did he piss you off or something? Garfield became visibly displeased upon hearing the word sanctuary. Subaru wondered if he misspoke and waited, but the reaction was more extreme than he anticipated. That is, Garfield twisted his mouth into an ironic smile that did not seem to fit. Well, it's about time the Princess-sama wakes up now, since we're pretty far from the barrier. What's the barrier? Amelia-tan. Just as he was about to ask his question, Subaru saw Amelia turning over in his lap and called out to her. She opened her eyes faintly and looked around the inside of the carriage hazily, as though she wasn't completely awake yet. She stared at Subaru with her violet eyes. Morning, Subaru. Oh, wait, Subaru? Oh, that's adorable, dude. That's absolutely adorable. I like the not a typo note as well. That's cute. That's fucking adorable. My goddess, man. My fucking goddess. I wish everybody loved you as much as I do. Just waking up is super cute. Amelia-tan, but maybe now's not a good time. How are you feeling? Does your head hurt? Not at all. I don't feel strange or anything. In the middle of her answer, Amelia suddenly became wide awake and got up so fast that Subaru had to dodge his head backward. After being an inch away from banging their heads together, close it came. Are you alright, Subaru? I said I would protect you, but I passed out. I managed somehow, so there's no need to worry. We came to an understanding through dialogue. People form ties with each other through conversation, and we took the first step in that regard, though I ran into some communication problems at first. As Amelia was shoving closer and closer, she touched her shoulder to try to calm her. While observing her as he spoke, it seemed she could stand and walk. The movements of her eyes and the color of her complexion and words in her voice were all impeccable. Also, cute, just like always. Right? Just like I said, yeah? And as for waiting for Subaru to settle down, Garfield laughed. But hearing this, Amelia jumped up in surprise, protecting Subaru behind her, as if only just noticing the existence of this new stranger in the carriage. Who are you? I warn you, I won't let you lay a single finger on Subaru. She's too real. She's way too real. Too real. Mia-tan, it's alright. Also, would you please stop reinforcing my role as the female lead? My cage can't take much more. Bro, I mean, letting yourself get in this position, though, my dude. Oh, I've noticed. I don't fuck you guys. Why do you... This is the kind of shit... Like, this happens. This is the first time that this has happened. I see the chat. The whole time I see the chat. I don't care. I'm reading 3-0. I could give a shit. Pulling Amelia out of her combat mode from behind, Subaru turned to Garfield and introduced... That's Garfield. Right after Amelia-tan collapsed, came to ride on the carriage. Not that he's
welcome or anything, but he's coming along until we get to where. This is GARFIEL? The person Frederica? Well, I am curious what she said about me, but we can put that off till look. We're coming up to the village soon, dude. I'm glad we're making it there now, too. I really didn't, expect to make it this quickly. Like, I thought at least one more chapter. You're gonna make the exact same comment as Subaru did earlier. GARFIEL jerked up his chin without giving them time to work the situation. He gestured, and ahead of them, the forest was opening up, and the former village that nation came into view. Be welcome, Amelia-sama and her entourage. He addressed them with proper title. However, his words did not contain any respect or favor, and he instead made them more of a color of disdain and a tinge of darkness. Without realizing it, Subaru's gaze had turned severe. Confusion had emerged in Amelia's. Receding both their gazes, GARFIEL opened his arms wide, his attitude unchanged. The place Rosewall calls the sanctuary or whatnot, where half-wits are gathered to spend their days in the impasse that is the experimental grounds, each to their pitiful ends. Oh. I mean, that's the thing. We already a little bit about the significance of the sanctuary, but that construction, gathered to spend their days in the impasse that is the experimental grounds, each to their pitiful ends. Experimental grounds, half-wit? While Subaru and Amelia are each drawn to a GARFIEL placed a hand over his mouth, covering his canine teeth, which showing smiling as if to conceal a terrible, complicated feeling. And there, now with the very same matter, nobody can tell me that they're not directly related. Nobody can tell me that. I refuse to believe it. But we, the residents, call it the Witch of Greed's gravesite. Wait! Laughable, yeah? Hold on. Fuck, I should have put out the theory crafting video earlier. Now it's less apt. Far less apt to do it now. Especially if we put it in the perspective of demi-human war 40 years ago. I didn't even think about that. And if that's what GARFIEL is referring to as far as the people that are gathered, that's actually really interesting. I'm curious to get a far more broad-standing assessment and exposition about this whole setup and construction. And I want to off of Rosewall himself, man. That's what needs to happen. But this is hype, dude. I take it back. I fucking take it back. Yeah, I'm not. I can't. Like, tomorrow or Wednesday, we're doing the next chapter because this one side from Lord Buck. Man, I swear to God, this shit needs to stop happening. It's annoying. Really, really annoying. Anyway, I lost my position. Yeah, that fucking juxtaposition, like a curse, like a blessing. Absolutely amazing. Listening, Subaru only silently worried about the girl next to him. If a witch stands in front of her path again, he must be the one to put out the flames. Firmly and resolutely, he told himself. These last few lines are dense, man. That's real. The sanctuary approaches. I don't really care. Since we're basically done, I don't really care that and I knew that this happens where if I don't reset the window capture, the text will go away. So I don't really care since we made it to the end of the chapter, but shit isn't. Tech difficulties are the bane of my fucking existence, man. To Natsuki, Subaru, and to Emilia, it was to be a place that will alter their paths forever. Hold on. Now, okay, shit is getting real. Shit is getting fucking hype, dude. These last few lines.
Now I understand what you were telling me earlier, Mitra. This is quite dense. And if this is only the tip of the iceberg as far as that's concerned, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. That chapter was all too short, man. And this image, dude, this art is amazing. I'm gonna have to use this as thumbnail this week. Last week, tired. Let's watch a few movies. Time feeling better now. I think just only catching up with schooling for chapter 8, chapter 9, stuff in chapter 10. Oh, I like that construction and how they're gonna break it up like that. Then it's nice. This chapter was hype. This chapter was incredibly hype. I'm not gonna lie. This chapter was hype. Either way, I just need to like let this marinate a little bit. I just need to bask in it for a second, because especially these last few lines that set up by far the Witch of Greed's gravesite is the most hype thing I've ever seen, because I feel as though we're gonna get some heavy exposition, and if my theories that I talked about earlier on are correct, then it might go even deeper than that. We might get some crucial stuff going on right here, and I think it hinges on Rosewall though. So I'm curious to see what happens here in the Sanctuary, man. But nevertheless, thank you guys for coming through. GARFIEL is on that. This chapter is all I need to see. GARFIEL is on that lore status. So, am I ever gonna do a recap stream? I don't see the thing about doing a recap stream. I could just do it like just a ReZero stream in general, where you guys can ask questions about like stuff that I've talked about before or whatever, or what I think about certain things. The risk I run with that is people with spoilers, but it is what it is. I might be willing to take that risk. But I mean, for everyone that doesn't know, I have the ReZero playlist on the channel, and I feel like it's too much to ask for you guys if you've missed my old ReZero content to go back, because there's a lot of it. I don't want to make you guys have to do the work as far as having to go back through all the old videos to get all of my theories that I threw out there and all my thoughts on things, because that's just too much. That's unrealistic. So we'll see. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna need to do some discussion streams in the future, like in the near future as well. And I really need to get back to work on the theory videos, but it's just been hectic. It's about to be really hectic next week with the start of the new season. But I think once that balances out, and I'm just gonna make this a priority, to be honest with you. So we should be able to get it done. But yeah, but I'm definitely gonna set up some streams. Will ending or not hurt me? Yeah, incredibly far ahead. I saw, you don't have to keep posting the link, Mitra. I saw it already. Sometimes I wonder, like, what you guys think. Like, I'm not even upset about, those comments I get where people will say that I miss stuff. Even though I absolutely never miss anything. It's ridiculous. People think if I don't say something about something that I missed it, which is not the case, man. I have a little bit more faith in my observation. That's all. Have a little bit more faith in my observation. I know, my bad. I mean, I see pretty much everything that happened. Like, if I'm not reading something, I can see the chat, and people don't understand that, like, the screens are like literally back to back. I can see both within my range of vision, but it's what it is. You guys got this. And I don't breaking my chain of thought on something else to address something that I see. So it's difficult. Something personally constructive. That's something I got to work on in the future, for sure. But yeah, nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? So thank you guys for coming through. And yeah, Erza, I will probably try and do like a discussion stream about, concerning ReZero, but definitely not before we get through the next couple of chapters, because this shit is hype, dude. And like, especially with the theories I was starting to think of, going back to ever since
the four or five chapters that we read before this, and then even going back further to the theorists I was making, the answer still going. I think a lot of them are going to start to be tested and either be proven or disproven and come to a head. So I'm really curious to see what happens. But thank you guys for coming through. Smash that like button if you enjoyed. I'm going to do chapter 8 tomorrow or the only reason I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow is because of the drunken streams, but we'll see. And I really just want to read. I really want to read this manga that I'm reading right now, so we'll see. But I can't wait on this hype, you know what I'm saying? So most, if not tomorrow, definitely on Wednesday, especially since there's no real anime or anything to week, except for tomorrow. So that's pretty much. Remember, and I'm gonna link you guys to it right now in case you don't know. But in the Anime Wars today, stream is going to be starting in, an hour. And I'm pretty sure everyone has heard about it already or voted and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm going to check some things with my hardware, man. I'm going to check some things with my hardware. But either way, come through to the anime, be fun. I actually got to go get ready because, like I said, I'm going to be dressing up right now. I got my swag moto status, get my suit game proper, look clean. But, yeah. GARFIEL is a motherfucking lord, and this setup is hype. Peace.